Lesson 3 is all about human development. Human development refers to behavior from prenatal to later life, while heredity pertains to the transmission of traits from parents to offspring. Kung ano yung mga posible natin na mamana sa mga magulang na mapunta sa anak or makuha ng mga anak, that process is called heredity. Now, the chromosome refers to the strand-like structures found in the nuclei of the cell, which is composed of DNA or deoxyribonucleic acid. So, yung keyword natin for chromosome, it looks like a strand. It is a strand-like structure. Deoxyribonucleic acid, or DNA, is a ladder-like structure assembled from smaller molecules, and it contains thousands of genes. Kanina, sabi natin, itong mga DNA na to ay makikita natin sa chromosomes. So, the keyword for DNA, it looks like a ladder. Okay? Yung chromosomes kanina, it looks like a strand. So, ito yung mga keywords natin. Now, this deoxyribonucleic acid, or DNA, contains genes. What are these genes? These are the segment of DNA that serve as a basic unit of heredity. Siya yung directly na nagkikarry ng attributes from parents to offspring. Halimbawa, yung genes that is particular for the height, the gene that is responsible for the color of the skin. So, bawat gene may kanya-kanya silang functions. Now, let's try to compare reproductive cells, sperm cells for the male and egg cells for the female. Another term for sperm cell is spermatozoa, for singular, spermatozoon. Another term for egg cell is ova, and for singular, it is called ovum. So, ano-ano pa ba ang mga pagkakaiba ng egg cell sa sperm cell? Pareha sila na merong nucleus. Okay? Ang egg cell at sperm cell ay napoproduce sa gonads. Ano yung gonads? Ovaries from the female and testicles from the males. Kung saan doon din nabubuo yung mga reproductive hormone. Doon din napoproduce ang mga reproductive cells. The egg cell is much larger as compared to the sperm cell because the sperm cell are actually microscopic. Only a single egg cell is produced during one's menstruation cycle. So, dalawa yung ovary natin. Isa sa left, isa sa right. So, kapag during menstruation cycle, isa lang ang possible na ma-produce. Possible galing sa right, possible na may manggaling sa left. How about sperm cell? Ang isang ejaculation, millions na kaagad yung nare-release na sperm cell because they are carried by fluid called semen. Sa egg cell, kailangan ng warm body para ma-maintain yung life, while the sperm cell requires approximately 2 degrees lesser than the body temperature for sustenance. Ang egg cell, nabubuo siya kahit before birth, hindi pa pinapanganak, it's already there. Pero sa sperm cell, napo-form lang siya during the time of puberty. Ang unang sperm cell ay paglabas nito ay tinatawag na spermarchy, while yung unang menstruation for the girls tinatawag na menarche. In addition, mas maiksi yung buhay ng egg cell kumpara sa sperm cell. Kasi ang egg cell, kapag lumabas na siya sa ovary, within 12 to 24 hours, madidissolve na siya kung hindi siya na-fertilize ng sperm cell. While ang sperm cell naman, basta nandun lang siya sa womb, okay, may moist, it can survive for 3 to 5 days. Okay, so ulit, mas maiksi yung lifespan ng egg cell kasi pag hindi siya na-fertilize kaagad, within 12 to 24 hours, madidissolve na siya. While yung sperm cell, as long as nandun siya sa okay ang kanyang environment inside the womb, it can survive even up to 5 days. The egg cells form before birth and are active only till menopause, while the sperm cells start being produced from the body from puberty till death. So, na-mention na natin kanina, even before birth, the egg cells are already present. Pero may hangganan hanggang menopausal period lang. Samantalang yung sperm cell, nag-start siya ng puberty, wala siyang hangganan kasi even old age, up to old age, kaya niya pang mag-produce ng sperm cell. Now, the egg cell cannot be stored while the sperm cell can be frozen and stored. Kaya meron tayong tinatawag na sperm bank. Ang egg cell, meron siyang 23 chromosomes. Ang sperm cell naman, meron din siyang 23 chromosomes. So, all in all, in a human being, we have a total of 46 chromosomes or 23 pairs of chromosomes. During the period of fertilization, by pair kasi yan, 23-23 or 23 pairs of chromosome by pair. As you can see, this is a figure of the female's ovary. Actually, left and right. But in this figure, let's assume, okay, to see the right side of the ovary. So this is the ovary, female's ovary, and the moment that the ovary release mature egg cell, that process is called ovulation. So in this area, possible that the mature egg cell will be met by the sperm cell. So to give a bigger figure, suppose one sperm cell successfully penetrates the egg cell, then suppose this is the egg cell nucleus, the sperm cell nucleus, and if it successfully fertilized, then it will produce a zygote. Zygote is the fertilized cell. Now, as the process goes on, this cell moves slowly going down to the uterus. So, this portion is called the fallopian tubes. There are some cases wherein nandito pa lang siya sa fallopian tube na na-implant na siya. In that case, that cannot be possible. Ang tawag dun ay ectopic pregnancy. So, in that case, ooperahan kasi hindi siya mabubuhay doon. Dapat dito siya sa uterus, womb, or bahay bata. Now, as the fertilized cell moves, unti-unti nagkakaroon ng changes, development, it becomes 2-cell stage, 4-cell stage, 8-cell stage. Nagmumultiply yung mga cells to develop different part of this cell. And then, eventually, it will be implanted here in the uterus. Nagkakaroon na ng signal, therefore, after this, na to stop the menstruation. In the first few months, paiba-iba ang position ng baby inside the womb. But near 9 months, dapat ganito na yung position niya. So, yung head, kailangan malapit siya dito sa may cervix. Okay? Naka-ready na siya for delivery. Now, the umbilical cord, so ito yung connection from the mother to the baby. Lahat ng mga nutrients na kinakain ni nanay napupunta kay baby through this umbilical cords. Not only the food, but also even yung mga smoke, possible na matransfer kay baby na nanggagaling kay mother. So, the pregnant woman should be very careful, okay? Even psychological issues like stress, depression, sadness, pag malungkot si nanay, meron ding psychological effect towards the baby based on studies. So, ito yung placenta, uterine wall. The moment the mature egg cell is released from a female's ovary, that process is called ovulation. There are 4 types of gene. dominant and recessive, homozygous, and heterozygous. Kapag ang dominant gene nag-pair sa recessive gene, ang mangingibabaw ay dominant. So, halimbawa, si tatay meron siyang dominant curly hair at si nanay meron siyang recessive straight hair. Ano ang magiging strand ng hair ng anak? That would be curly hair. Why? Kasi yun yung dominant. Now, what's the difference between homozygous and heterozygous? Ang homozygous, from the word homo, means one, parehas na dominant yung pair or parehas na recessive. Yung heterozygous naman, ito yung magkaiba. Ibig sabihin, ito yung combination ng isang dominant at saka ng isang recessive na gene. Alright, so let us take this for example. Halimbawa, both mother and father, meron silang dominant brown eyes and recessive blue eyes. What is the chance that the sibling could acquire brown eyes? So for the first child, if you are to combine the dominant brown eyes from the mother and father, the first color of the eyes of the first child is brown. Now for the second child, there is a combination of recessive blue eyes from the father and dominant brown eyes from the mother. Then the color of the eyes of the second child would be brown. Why? Because it's dominant. Now, same thing with the third child. Now, for the fourth child, if it's a combination of both recessive blue eyes or recessive blue eyes, then therefore, the color of the eyes will be blue. Okay? Wala kasi siyang touch ng dominant gene, any dominant gene. So therefore, it represents that 75% of the offspring will have brown eyes. Okay? So based on our combination. Now, as you can see, yung dalawang dulo, this one at saka ito, tinatawag na homozygous. Why? Parehas kasi na recessive at parehas na dominant. Now, in between, ito nasa middle, tinatawag na heterozygous gene. Why? Because magkaiba sila, isang dominant at isang recessive gene. Now, how would we know if the baby is a girl or a boy? In the 23rd pair of chromosome, ito yung nagko-combine. Yung egg cell, meron lang siyang X chromosome. Yung sperm cell, meron siyang both X and Y chromosome. Kapag nag-combine doon sa pair, ay X chromosome from the mother and X chromosome from the father, then it will produce a girl child kasi XX. Kapag naman X galing kay nanay at Y galing kay tatay, then it will produce a boy child. Okay? So, si father lang yung pwedeng makapag-produce ng boy child kasi sa kanya nanggagaling yung Y chromosomes. So, remember, we have 23 pairs of chromosome and the 23rd pair chromosome is responsible for the sex of the baby. Now, let's talk about the types of twin. First, we have the identical twin or monozygotic. So, paano nangyayari yung identical twin? The single zygote splits into two. So, kung naaalala ninyo, kapag na-fertilize ng sperm cell ang egg cell, it will become a fertilized cell called the zygote. In the process, if you can still remember, nagmumultiply yung mga cells. And there's a possibility na yung zygote na yon nag-split into two. That is why, itong mga kambal na identical, magkamukha sila at pareho sila ng gender. Bakit? Kasi nanggaling sila sa iisang zygote na nag-split lamang into two. So, paano naman yung mga kambal na hindi magkamukha? Sila ay tinatawag na fraternal twin or dizygotic twin. So, bakit nga ba hindi sila magkamukha? So, possible na dalawang mature egg cell yung lumabas, which was individually fertilized by each sperm cell. So, ang nangyari, dalawang zygotes ang nabuo. Halimbawa, isang mature egg cell galing sa left ovary, isang mature egg cell galing sa right ovary, parehas na fertilized ng tig-isang sperm cell, dalawang zygote yung nabuo. Kaya, hindi sila magkamukha at posible rin na pwede rin na hindi sila parehas ng sex. Pwedeng babae, yung isa lalaki. So for now, paano nagkakaroon ng conjoined or Siamese twin? It is the result of the unfinished split of the monozygote. What happened is that yung zygote na maghahati sana into two, magi-split sana into two, magiging identical twin sana, hindi natuloy. Kaya meron silang connection in some parts of their body. So, as you can see, pag sinabing conjoined, pareha sila ng gender at pareha sila ng itsura. Why? Kasi galing sila sa iisang zygote na magiging identical twin sana. Kaso, hindi sila fully na na-split. That's why, ayan, tinatawag natin sila ngayon na conjoined twin. So, paano naman nagkakaroon ng multiple birth? Ito yung tatlo or more birth at the same delivery. So, kapag tatlo, tinatawag natin na triplets. Pag apat, quadruplets. Kapag lima, quintuplets. Pag anim, hexaplets. Pag pito, septuplets. Pag walo, octuplets. Pag siyam, nanoplets. I think for the records, 9 ang pinakamarami na naipanganak na buhay sila lahat. Nanoplets. Okay? Paano nagkakaroon ng multiple birth? So, same thing. Possible na nag-split yung zygote into two, parehas na na-develop yung dalawang zygote, na another nag-split into two. Okay? So, ito yung mga possibilities. May mga chromosomal problem during the time of pregnancy. So, halimbawa, itong Down syndrome or trisomy 21. As you can see, we are supposed to have 23 pairs of chromosome. Pair 1, pair 2, pair 3, hanggang makarating tayo dito sa pair 23. Ito yun, no, yung X and Y gonosomes. Pagdating dito sa 21st pair of chromosomes, as you can see, instead na pair, naging tatlo. Okay? Tatlo sila. So, tinatawag siya na tri kasi tatlo, trisomy 21 in the 21st pair of chromosomes. So, pare-pareho na yung 21st pair of chromosome nila ay tatlo, kaya they have this same condition. And as you may notice, they may have similar physical characteristics, although they are not related to each other. So, there is a possibility that this chromosome are responsible for the physical characteristics as well. Now, how about fetal alcohol syndrome? Itong fetal alcohol syndrome nakukuha kapag ang pregnant women ay taking too much alcoholic beverages during the time of pregnancy. So, isa rin sa mga symptoms nito sa kulang yung parts ng pinanganak silang kulang yung parts ng katawan. So, with the physical characteristics, somehow meron din silang mga similarities. And lastly, issues about human development. Meron tayong tinatawag na test tube baby or in vitro fertilization. How does it differ with artificial insemination? Ang artificial insemination, yung sperm cell ay ini-implant dun sa woman's uterus, okay, via cervix. So, ano pinagkaiba niya sa test tube baby? Yung test tube baby, bago siya i-implant dun sa woman's uterus, ang cell ay already fertilized. Ang cell ay zygote na bago siya i-implant dun sa woman's womb or uterus. So, kapag artificial insemination, okay, artificial insemination, in vivo fertilization. Kapag naman test tube baby, ito naman in vitro fertilization because it is done in the laboratory. But of course, during the course of the cell's development, it should happen inside the woman's uterus. Ang nangyayari lang sa laboratory, yung fertilization lang between the egg cell and sperm cell. When the sperm cell fertilize the egg cell, that's the time it will then be implanted to the woman's uterus. Okay, so that is in vitro fertilization or test tube baby.